Welcome back, Rainbow OMG tribe of movers and shakers and game changers. Let me start by saying Happy Easter from me and Amber. Isn't this the cutest little Easter button you ever seen? So happy Easter, and I think that's going to be today's topic of conversation is and this has come up multiple times in the last week, is that we are seasonal beings. And what does that mean? So Easter is actually a time to celebrate the changing of the seasons. And so in the Northern Hemisphere, you guys are celebrating that spring has arrived. And that's like celebrating that you have made it through the darkness before the dawn. You are literally spent all winter inside, dreaming and scheming of plans and making, plans that you were going to do for the year. And now you're ready to, as the snow melts, take action and start your seedlings and get your gardens going. And likewise, in the Southern Hemisphere, we're celebrating the fact that we made it through a fierce summer and that it's autumn and we had the breaking rains about 4 days ago now. And it was just glorious. So, I always find it a good reason to celebrate when the breaking rains of autumn come, and it's just sweet relief that the fierceness and the intensity of summer is over. And so last week was a fruit and flower week, and we were busy planting medjool dates, getting those struck, and I had a chance to plant some strawberries over at our farm. And this week we're in a root week, which means that we're doing root crops like planting potatoes in our backyard, and I planted 2 sweet potato vines over at our farm with our ginger and turmeric crops. And so, there's a big focus on root crops this week. But back to living seasonally. So, in the Northern Hemisphere, they're celebrating the waking up of the sun. They're celebrating that the snow is melting, and you guys have been dreaming about all these garden plans you're going to be doing over summer, and you're starting to propagate your seeds. And it really is the waking up of the warmth coming back. It's celebrating that you made it through the darkest months, the darkest, coldest months. And that is something to celebrate. It's and the sun starts to warm up, and it's very life-giving. And likewise, in the Southern Hemisphere, we are preparing to hunker into our bunkers for winter and plan our winter projects. And it's just autumn is about reaping the harvest of all your work and your efforts. And I always feel that harvest, autumn time here is actually just about tidying up the loose ends. So taking the shade cloth off the greenhouses, getting those winter root crops in, cutting down all of the kind of plants that have gone to shoot for the year, like with seed heads. I've been busy digging a massive biochar pit, which I'm really excited about. That's a winter ritual that I just absolutely adore, is collecting all the dead branches and seed heads that have come off during the year and compiling them and burning them down. And just, there's something so beautiful about a fire and its purification process. You are taking dead debris and turning it into fertility for the future. And, so that was really nice. But getting back to being seasonal beings, so I was talking to my sister this morning, and she was talking about how she had such a bad year with seasonal depression. And, that's pretty common for people that live in places where they experience more darkness over the winter months. And I said to her, the number one thing you can do if you get seasonal depression during the winter months, or if you have depression in general, is getting a cod liver oil. And I can highly, highly, highly recommend Green Pastures. It's called Blue Ice Royale. And it's a fermented cod liver oil, and you can even get it in a liquid form or a capsule form. And that is exceptional for depression. And she said, oh yeah, when I was in Norway studying, the Norwegians are crazy about taking fish oil. And I said, well, that's because it's ingrained in their culture. They know to fight the seasonal depression, the lack of vitamin D, they supplement with a vitamin D source, which is the cod liver oil. And that's not the same as just regular old fish oil. And so, I think we need to be drawing on these traditions because traditions hold wisdom. They're not just kooky lula things that people do for no reason. They have deep integral wisdom on how to cycle your body with the seasons. And another thing she said was, oh, I might get a gym membership. And, I found that really helped. And I said, well, that's fine, but you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Traditionally, you're supposed to wake up and do your exercises or your yoga or whatever, your meditation practice before you start the day on an empty stomach, and that boosts your metabolic function. That boosts your overall prana, chi, energy, whatever you want to call it, vitality, because there's something about getting the heart rate going before having to put food into your body, and because it takes a lot of your body's energy to digest food. So she said, oh, I usually go to have dinner and go to the gym. And I said, you're doing it all backwards. I said, save yourself the gym membership and just set your alarm half an hour early. And, you do your workout, then you have your shower, and then you have your breakfast and get on with the day. And she said, okay, yeah, tomorrow I'm going to do a workout first thing in the morning, and then I'm going to have my bowl of oats. And I said, darling, this just goes to show how divorced we are from the even acknowledgement that we are seasonal beings. Eating something heavy like oats is fantastic if you live in a cold climate and you need more body mass to keep your body warm. Or in winter, we tend to crave more carbs in winter because we're trying to keep our bodies, it takes more metabolic energy to create body heat when it's cold outside. I said, you're going into spring, which means your diet should be lightening up, So a good springtime food and diet and breakfast would be something like yogurt with some berries, not heavy oats. And likewise, we are going into autumn, and I've noticed since the cooler weather's come in and the winter rains, I am no longer having yogurt and berries for breakfast, but I feel the need to go back onto bacon and eggs for my breakfast routine. And it feels just much more harmonious in my gut, And there's a lot to be said for eating seasonally, because when you eat seasonally, you're telling your body what season it is. If you were to eat a mango out of season, you would be telling your body, hey, it's summer, when really your body's in the middle of winter. And so it kind of confuses your body by eating foods that are out of season. And that's why all of our ancestors have traditionally eaten seasonal diets. It's so important to eat with the seasons and acknowledge where you're at in your seasons. So yeah, we are getting ready by autumn to, we're making compost piles, we are planting root crops, we are taking the shade cloth off and cleaning up kind of all of the dead stuff from the end of summer. And there's a lot of that to do, and I actually quite enjoy, trimming back my white sage plants and picking off the dead branches that have fallen from the trees and burning them off. So this week I've got a whole bed of raspberries I need to be cutting out. So I cut back our raspberries to the ground each year, and then I burn them and we make biochar, and then we scatter the ashes on the ground. Traditionally I would have chop and dropped them before we had a biochar pit, but now we are really looking forward to getting into biochar. And biochar is pretty cool in and of itself. Something else we've been working on is how to increase the energy in the food that we're growing, and so that means how do we increase the strength of our plants and the fertility in the soil around our plants. And we do apply a lot of seaweed, Yes, I know, you're tired and you're hungry. So we have been experimenting on how to increase our food yields and our fertility yields, and how we can keep healthier soils, and that's through, biodynamic practices, which is kind of harmonizing and creating structured water to apply to the earth. Um, and imprinting the water. And there's also, we do applications of biochar and paramagnetic rock dust and seaweed applications. But one thing we've been experimenting with and we've been getting outstanding results is electroculture. And I highly recommend, if you're interested in how to increase your yields and holding fertility and water in your soils, looking into electroculture. But coming back to seasonal beings, it's really important for us not to divorce ourselves from nature, thinking that we are more superior than it or separated from it in somehow. And I think that that's what life is trying to teach us, is that, we're not separate from nature, we are part of it. And that's why when we forget this, we start to come up against all of these kind of health complications and so on and so forth. And so, this is what Ayurvedic medicine teaches us, is to recognize what's your constitution and what are things you can do to bring your body into balance. So, I'm a pitta person, which means fiery, and you can tell by the color of my skin and the shape of my eyes and my, just literally anatomical features of the body. You can tell what somebody's dosha is. And so, for me in summer, I am very hot and agitated because fire, heat and heat equals, just, it's not good. It's like throwing fuel on a fire. So I just need to, in summer, eat less so that I'm not using up all my metabolic energy to digest food, and drink more water. And, back to kind of being seasonal beings is like, okay, so Norwegians, every culture on earth has traditions for dealing with seasonal depression, bringing your body back into balance, back into the rhythm of nature. And, for me, autumn represents, maybe it's the North American in me or something, but I always feel like it's a time that's just warm and nourishing, and, time to tidy up and get organized and plan for, I just think of the color orange, and I know that eating orange foods like, roasted carrots and sweet potato and, eating roasted beetroot, like nourishing my body with warm orange root crops. That's also a part of being a seasonal being, is we're in a root week. Eating root crops is going to be really healthy and beneficial for you as well too. So, I like all the beta carotene that is in sweet potatoes and carrots, and all of the health benefits of beetroots, which are far too many to list here, are absolutely so essential for helping you to boost your energy and fight depression throughout the winter months. So yes, if you are somebody that is suffering with depression, you want to get yourself on a good cod liver oil, which I can recommend Green Pastures. They are the best cod liver oil we've ever found. And you want to be nourishing your body with lots of fats, and you just want to be tuning into what season am I in. Okay, I'm going into spring. I need to eat lots of fresh leafy greens, and the sun is shining and it's yellow, and you literally have to match your body and your diet and your lifestyle to the seasons that you're currently experiencing. So right now we are going into autumn, and all I can think is like warm and orange foods. And likewise, if you're going into spring, you might be thinking like, okay, fresh salads, garden salads, eating salads with flowers in them like nasturtiums, beautiful, red and orange, and calendula petals, and Yeah, so just, draw on the traditions that resonate with you and learn from their wisdom, because this is a bit of a tangent, but I was having tea with my neighbor the other day, and we both grew up in pretty strict Christian homes. And, we were always taught that any other tradition, any other religion was just bad, it was evil, it's witchcraft, don't get into it. And in my own unfolding, in finding myself, I've always had a very, very, very deep affinity for all things Vedic culture. And for me, when I, you know, started to look into and study Ayurvedic medicine, it got it. It clicked. Something inside me was like, this is it. This is what I've been looking for. And so finding practices that actually, you know, going in with an open mind and having eyes of wisdom to see what works for you. And some people really resonate with traditional Chinese medicine, and so therefore traditional Chinese medicine practices work better for them. Some of us are into Vedic practices and they work better for us, but you don't have to cut yourself off from any of these ancient wisdom traditions. Just because you were born and raised in a Christian or Catholic home doesn't mean that you can't study the philosophy of another ancient tradition. And even if you just study it for the cyclical wisdom of how to live in tune with nature and the seasons, then that's worth it. It's so important. Like, the Russians have a whole celebration and around the elderberry tree, because the elderberry tree gave them elderberries, which they could make elderberry cordial, elderberry wine, elderberry syrup, and they knew that taking elderberry increased their immunity, and it warded off infections, and it warded off colds and flus. And so, I have a deep affinity for elderberry trees, and it's just about taking the nuggets of wisdom that resonate with you and not holding judgment on yourself for anything else. I sing and I chant and I do yoga and Kundalini yoga pretty much every day, and that goes against everything I was taught and raised with. But for me, it brings me the greatest sense of peace, and it grounds me into who am I, where am I, what am I doing, how am I going to live the most successful, prosperous, abundant day ever. And so, being a farmer, there's always a million things you got to do in a day. And like literally, I've rattled off a couple of them. Today, I need to be harvesting comfrey. I got to cut down some raspberries. I'm taking shade cloth off of greenhouses. There's a lot to do on top of breastfeeding and being a parent and homeschooling a child. Like, there is no easy life. There is no practice. If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you permanently. And, it's breaking through those barriers that gives you greater strength. And in a way, I'm grateful for everything that we've gone through in the last, oh God, I want to say a couple months, but it's been like 2 or 3 years, because here's the thing, nature is the greatest teacher. And sometimes a dead branch will fall off a tree. And sometimes friends fall out of your life. And you can hold on to, why has this person let go of me, or why has this fallen away? Or you can sit back and say, what wisdom am I gaining from this? What am I supposed to be learning from this? And then you can turn that into fertility to propel you forward. And honestly, from pruning fruit trees, I know, and just any tree really, when you cut dead branches off, the tree is no longer trying to keep alive that dead branch. You're no longer trying to keep alive that fake friendship. You have so much more energy to pour into the good fruits that you're bearing in your life. Your true friends, your true practices, the things that really do propel you forward and uplift your spirit and keep you happy and healthy and holy. So, just I'm urging everybody to just take a step back, think about what season you're in. If you're in spring right now, you are about to start taking action to everything that you planned over the winter months. And if you're going into autumn, you should be just getting organized for the winter months ahead and growing your ideas and your business and your plans and nourishing your body and doing that internal introspection. Because in summer and spring, everybody wants to be outside, and it is a time to be alive and outside and go out into the world. And there's a sense of excitement that you've made it through, the darkest days before the dawn. And in winter, likewise, we tend to retreat inside, and that's the same with our personal lives too. We need to retreat inside and say, is this serving me? Is this friendship serving me? Is this thought serving me? Is this, religious indoctrination serving me? Can I let it go? What's my emotional attachment to it? How can I free myself and give my heart more space to grow and expand and learn? And so just urging everybody to tune into where you're at in seasonally, and can you cycle your body with that season? And just wishing everybody health, wealth, happiness, and abundance. And until next time, tribe, we will be very busy preparing for big burn pits and the winter months ahead, getting our sourdough starter culture going, and yes, harvesting seeds. There's always lots to do. There's never a shortage of things to do when you're a farmer. So wishing you all health, wealth, happiness, and abundance. And until next time, tribe, keep being the movers and shakers that are changing this world. Keep offering solutions. Keep being part of the solutions. Keep retreating your energy from all of the problems in the world. Be focused on solutions, not focused on problems. Peace, tribe. One love.